Hey everyone, I'm Bruce, back again with another kick-ass video. Before arcades were dominated by pixel-perfect fighters and sprawling RPG cabinets, the 1970s quietly planted the seeds of everything we now love about gaming. I mean, this was the beginning of the golden age, an era of raw creativity, experimental gameplay, and machines that felt more like interactive magic tricks than code and circuits. And today's list of games defined what fun could be in a digital world back then. Many slipped from mainstream memory, but their impact still echoes in modern titles. So, let's dust off the cabinets, drop in a coin, and revisit 10 forgotten 70s arcade gems that are absolutely worth playing today. Computer space. Back when bell-bottoms were in style, and Pong wasn't even a thing yet, a fiberglass cabinet stood in arcades, promising something completely new: space dogfights for a quarter. The premise was deceptively simple: guide your rocket through a star-speckled void, outmaneuvering two computer-controlled saucers that spit missiles your way. Every thrust propels you endlessly until you counter it, and rotation doesn't change your current trajectory, meaning Newton's laws are out to trip you up. Firing is deliberate, one missile at a time, which comes with a cooldown. But hey, you can steer your missile mid-flight by turning your ship, adding a sneaky skill element to your shots. The saucers patrol in a synchronized zigzag, occasionally staying put just to lure you into a bad move. A hit makes the screen flash and briefly removes the victim from play, and if your score beats the computers when the timer runs out, hyperspace mode kicks in, colors invert, and you keep going without paying. Launched in 1971 by Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney through Nutting Associates, this was history's first commercial arcade video game, selling about 1,300 units. It wasn't the cultural juggernaut Nutting hoped for, but it lit the fuse for an industry about to explode. Maze War. Long before Doom Guy was blasting demons or Master Chief was storming alien ships, a small group of high schoolers at NASA Ames were busy turning a mini-computer into a virtual battleground. Their creation dropped players into a flat, grid-based labyrinth where every corridor could hide a rival waiting to tag you for 10 points. Movement wasn't free-flowing. Every press moved you exactly one space, and turns snapped in 90-degree chunks. It was deliberate, strategic, and oddly tense. Your view was a pioneering first-person perspective, where other players appeared either as their username's first letter, or, in later builds, an unsettling floating eyeball staring right at you. Peeking around corners without committing to a move added a whole layer of paranoia. You couldn't shoot while peeking, but you could line up your next ambush. The arsenal was simple: fire a fast-moving bullet, nail an opponent, gain 10 points. Get shot, lose 5. Early versions let you overlay a top-down map for navigation, while later builds kept that radar permanently in view. By 1964, the game was running on MIT's PDP-10 mainframe, connecting up to 8 players and even bots over the fledgling ARPANET. Not just a shooter, this was the dawn of online multiplayer combat. Tank. 2 tanks, 1 maze, and just enough time on the clock to settle a grudge. This was Key Games' 1974 hit that proved you didn't need aliens or spaceships to hook arcade players. Viewed from above, the battlefield was a blocky labyrinth with a wide-open middle stuffed full of deadly X-marked landmines. Hit one, and you'd be treated to a satisfying explosion, followed by watching your opponent earn a point. Movement wasn't just point and go. Players had 2 joysticks, one for each tread. Push both forward to advance, pull both back to stop, or mix directions to pivot and swing your turret into the perfect firing line. A quick tap of the right-hand button launched a shell, straightforward but deadly if timed right. Mines didn't respawn, so blowing a path through the danger zone could open new routes for ambushes. Matches were short, usually 1 or 2 minutes, and every hit mattered. Points tallied at the top of the screen, flashing in those tense last 20 seconds as both players scrambled for the final blow. Designed by Steve Bristow and Lyle Rains, and selling over 10,000 cabinets, it was the seed for tank battles that would rumble on for decades. Gunfight. Okay, picture two blocky cowboys in the middle of an Old West showdown, except instead of being stuck in place, they roam the screen, duck around cacti, and try to land the first pixel-perfect shot. Players wielded 2 joysticks, one to move, the other to aim that tiny gun arm. It's a setup that felt surprisingly modern, laying groundwork for the twin-stick shooters we know today. A single hit sends your rival tumbling to the ground with a triumphant "Got me!" splashed above them. You've only got 6 bullets per round, so reckless spraying isn't an option. Miss too many, and you might be stuck dodging ricocheted shots that bounce off the top and bottom of the screen for sneaky kills. Obstacles, trees, cacti, and later even a stagecoach, turn the arena into a shifting puzzle of cover and firing lanes. Originally released in Japan by Taito in 1965 as Western Gun, the Midway Gun Fight version became the first arcade game powered by a microprocessor. It also tightened the duel by keeping players on separate halves of the screen. The result was a worldwide hit that sold over 8,600 cabinets in the US, proving that a cowboy standoff could be just as gripping as any alien invasion. Seawolf. Released by Midway in 1976 and designed by Dave Nutting Associates, Seawolf really combined video graphics with electromechanical tricks for immersion. Through the eyepiece of a chunky arcade periscope, you scan the shimmering blue horizon. Ships glide past, some fat and slow, others darting like prey that knows it's being hunted. Your unseen submarine lies in wait beneath the waves, armed with a limited rack of torpedoes. Aim with a swivel of the scope, squeeze the thumb trigger, and a white streak races upward. If your shot connects, a satisfying explosion flashes at the impact point, all thanks to clever backlit effects inside the cabinet. The targets aren't all the same. Destroyers are worth steady points, but that speedy PT boat is the real prize, racing across the screen with a taunting siren. Mines drift lazily into your firing lane, forcing you to decide between a risky shot or holding fire. You've got a fixed time limit to rack up a score high enough to earn bonus seconds, miss too often, and your session ends with enemy ships still afloat. It sold 10,000 cabinets, topping arcade revenue charts in both 1976 and 1977, and even pioneered one of gaming's earliest high-score systems. Fuel for countless one more try runs. Night Driver. I think Night Driver is often credited as one of the very first real-time first-person racing games. Released by Atari in 1976, you get a screen that is pitch black, except for 2 neat rows of glowing roadside markers rushing toward you, daring you to keep your reflexes sharp. Your car is like a static plastic overlay bolted onto the cabinet, but the illusion works. With 1 foot on the accelerator pedal, both hands on the steering wheel, and a gear lever to the side, you're tasked with threading through the winding nighttime course without smacking into the edges. 3 difficulty levels, Novice, Pro and Expert, determine just how twisty and unforgiving the track will be. As the seconds tick down, The road narrows and turns get tighter, demanding precision steering. Score points by covering distance and hit 300 to earn bonus time equal to your game's starting length. If you're confident, the expert settings' steeper point rewards make those bonus runs easier to chain once you've mastered the handling. The upright cabinet even featured a black light to make the bezel pop in the dim arcade glow. Simple as it looks today, its forward-scrolling road and immersive viewpoint set the tone for decades of racing games to follow. Sprint 2. 2 steering wheels, 4 cars, and 1 top-down track. That's the setup for Sprint 2, a 1996 Key Games release that took arcade racing beyond just player versus player. Alongside you and a rival human driver, 2 computer-controlled cars zip around the course with a surprising bit of brains. Instead of following a canned loop, they adjust their paths dynamically, reacting to your position and speed, keeping each race unpredictable. The controls were pure arcade simplicity: a steering wheel for navigation, an accelerator pedal to push speed, and no brake pedal. Easing off the gas is enough to slow down. The goal is more survival and score than the laps. The timer ticks down while you rack up points for distance covered and opponents passed. The computer cars actively challenge you, sometimes blocking your racing line or forcing you into risky maneuvers. Honestly, Sprint 2 was among Atari's first mass-produced microprocessor-based games, giving it faster, more dynamic gameplay than its electromechanical predecessors. Distributed by Namco in Japan, it marked a leap forward in AI for racing games. Death Race. Released in 1976 by Exidy, Death Race was a quick-turn rework of their earlier Destruction Derby, swapping cars for points with creatures for points. What might have been a modest stopgap release exploded into national headlines after journalists and civic groups decried its killing humans for sport visuals. On screen, a pair of blocky muscle cars roamed a graveyard-like arena, not to race, but to hunt. The prey were little pixelated gremlins who scurried in every direction, diving behind curbs to evade you. Your mission was to run them down. Each hit triggered a squeal and replaced the creature with a tombstone, which stood in play to clutter the field and made your driving trickier as time went on. The controls were classic arcade racing: a steering wheel for maneuvering and a pedal for acceleration. 1 or 2 players could share the space, competing or chaotically colliding as they chased down targets. Curbs on the left and right pen in the action, while the top and bottom edges wrap around Pac-Man style, letting you reappear on the opposite side for surprise attacks. The controversy only fueled curiosity, boosting sales and placing it as one of the earliest examples of moral panic in gaming history, well before pixels had blood to spill. Blockade. This 1976 Gremlin release had 2 arrows zip across a plain, black playfield. One controlled by you, the other by your opponent. Wherever you move, a solid trail of blocks forms behind you, turning the open arena into a tightening maze of your own making. The rule is simple but ruthless. Crash into any wall, yours, theirs, or the screen's border, and you're out, gifting your rival a point. Movement is handled with 4 directional buttons, and there's no stopping or slowing. Once you commit to a path, the trail locks it in forever. As the match goes on, space becomes scarce, forcing sharp turns, quick feints, and the occasional desperate gamble to box your opponent in before they do it to you. The collisions trigger a sharp explosion sound and a flashing symbol, a quick punctuation to each victory or mistake. Designed by Lane Hawk and Ego Kiss, Blockade debuted at the Music Operators of America show to strong reception, only for rival companies to rush out clones before its official release. Despite the competition, it became the blueprint for the entire snake genre, proving that pure reflexes and a shrinking arena could deliver nail-biting tension without a single bullet fired. Speed race. In the mid-70s, Taito's Tomohiro Nishikado swapped winding courses for pure pedal-to-the-metal speed and delivered an arcade rush that hooked both Japan and the US players, sat or stood before a vertically scrolling road that never ended, gripping a steering wheel and stomping an accelerator to speed past oncoming cars. The faster you drove, the more points you earned, but every near miss carried the risk of a costly collision. Smash into another car, and your speed dropped to a crawl as the game threw you back to the track's start. The challenge was relentless. 90 seconds on the clock, the road packed with unpredictable traffic, and 2 difficulty modes to push reflexes to the limit. Score enough points, and you could earn precious extra time, keeping the adrenaline going. Multiplayer runs would let rivals compete for bragging rights on the same cabinet, each chasing the higher score. Released in 1974 in Japan and as Racer and Wheels in the US the following year, it became a global smash, standardizing Japan's 100 yen arcade price and selling 10,000 cabinets in America alone. Its vertical scrolling technique would influence decades of racing games, proving you didn't need hairpin turns or fancy physics to make white-knuckle driving a hit. These 10 arcade treasures may have been overshadowed by later blockbuster hits, but they represent the daring spirit of an industry learning to walk and run at lightning speed. They all pushed boundaries, introduced fresh ideas, or simply nailed the joy of instant, repeatable fun. I feel playing them now is like flipping through the earliest chapters of gaming's story, where every pixel and sound effect was groundbreaking. If you're down for chasing some nostalgia or discovering them for the first time, fire up those cabinets, physical or emulated, and experience the spark that helped ignite gaming's golden age. Your next favorite retro obsession might be waiting.